Shabbat shalom, family. Shabbat shalom. I have a word for y'all today. That's my son in the background. Now, usually on this time that I take out to rest and then really sit back and look at creation and whatnot, look at the works of His hands and the manifestations of His word, which is everything that we see. I take it in like He did. Sit back and rested and saw that all that He had made was good. But I want to speak on this here, family. You have a lot of people, a lot of so-called woke black people who are going right back into the ways of Egypt, who believe that they find their strength in the shadow of Egypt. And for all of you who believe you find your strength in the shadow of Egypt, where is Egypt today? Almighty and ancient Egypt, where is Egypt today? Where is mighty Ra, Horus, and Isis, and Osiris? Where are they? Where's their mighty kingdom, their empire? I don't see it. Let me explain something to you, family. You got deceived brothers and sisters who are so hell-bent and rebellious against the Most High God. Excuse me, family. It's pretty bright out here today. The sun got me tearing up a little bit. But they're so hell-bent against the Most High God that they'll rather worship the host of heaven than to worship the very being who created the sun, moon, and stars. They'd rather worship the sun, moon, and stars themselves. Now, to the foolish out there who say that, well, the sun should be worshipped. Without the sun, we wouldn't have life. Without the sun, where would we be without the sun? Understand this, people. For those who say that the sun is the source of all life and so on and so forth, understand this. So let's say you worship the sun. Let me see if I can get it. Where's the sun? It's right up above me somewhere. Yeah, y'all see it now? So let's say you're worshiping the sun, right? And drought comes into the land. Now, the sun is shining in all of its glory, making His face known to you. But now there's drought in the land. Food won't grow. People are dying. People are overheating. People cannot stand the sun. So then who do you praise? Do you continue to worship the sun, although it is the very thing that's killing you? The very thing that's drying up your land? Do you continue to worship the sun? Oh, let me think. What will be their next step? They will then begin to worship the clouds. They will then begin to praise and conjure up rain gods, okay? See, it never ends, family. And for those who try to pick in the scriptures and say, well, look, the scriptures say God was the son of righteousness, S-U-N. So, because the word of God refers himself as the son of righteousness, does that mean we ought to take that literally and believe that God is the very son that He told us in Genesis that He created? Think about it. It makes no sense. If we're going to take it as that, then let's take Christ literal when He says that He is the true vine. So that means Christ is really the vine in the ground. He is really the branch. Or do we take it literal when Christ says He is the living water? Do we take that literal and do we begin to worship and praise water now? Because we need it. It's a necessity for us. Is that what we begin to do? Or let's say the Messiah, He also said He's the bread of life. So do we now worship food? Do we now praise food? The very thing that we consume. You see how it begins, family? See, they'll say, well, you know what? White people are taught that Jesus looks white. Black people think that Jesus look black. But really, Jesus look like that. The sun in the sky. Look at that. There's Jesus up there in the sky. They sound so foolish. And it reminds me of the Garden of Eden. When Eve was caught off guard by the serpent. And the serpent said, you know, has God told you shouldn't eat from every tree in the garden? And the woman Eve, she was on track. She said, Yes, the Lord did say we can't we can eat from any tree of the garden except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And if we eat from that tree, we'll die. And so she was on track. So a lot of us, we're getting right back on track. We're like, hold on, Christ isn't white. Wait, white isn't superior. Wait, the original man is the black man. So we're getting back on track. We're turning away from the idols that our oppressors have put before us. And now we have the serpent saying, but no, not really. For surely you will not die. So now we have the serpent saying, for surely he isn't quite black either. See, technically he's the sun. Let me tell you something. For all you sun worshipers who are so hell-bent on not submitting and bowing down to the will of the Most High God, understand this. There are always rules. Because a lot of them, I see what their problem is. Their problem is, I don't believe in rules. I just think we already know better. They lean upon their own understanding, such as fools do. We don't need rules. But let me come into your house and slap your daughter around, and I say, hey, we're going by your theory. We don't need rules. Let me come in your house and sleep with your wife, and then see what you got to say to that. Let me come in your wife and your house and take your TV, your big flat screen, and your shoes and your sneakers. Say, this is mine now. We don't go by rules. Rules restrict me. Think about that. Even God has laws. Okay? God has laws. And only God can edify those laws at his will. Just like I can go out there on that pool right there and attempt to walk on water. I'll fall right into the water. Because there's a law concerning that. Okay? Even when he loosed the tongue of the donkey, there's a law concerning these animals and why they can't communicate with us as we communicate with one another. Okay? There's a law if I roll a ball down this hill right here. There's a law that's going to govern that ball rolling all the way down until the energy of it is dispersed and then it lands at a standstill. So even in nature, we see these things. We see these laws. We see these rules. When the cold season comes, the trees die. The grass dies. Okay, when spring comes about, then the flowers and the grass, they begin to blossom again, anew, afresh, even better than last year. There's a law behind it. There's a rules that govern that. There's a system. There's an order. There's a circuit that the sun must go upon. Okay, there's a circuit that the moon is on. There's a law. There's an order to this thing. So I just want to give clarity and understanding to any of my brothers and sisters who might have found themselves almost believing in their deception, believing in this sun worship. Because let me tell you something, family. These Egyptian and everybody who want to call themselves worshiping the host of heaven and worshiping the sun, the moons, and stars. You want to dig into astrology. You're always talking about, your horoscope, things of that nature. That's worship. You're disobeying the Most High God, and you anger him when you do those things. But all in all, people can feel how they want to feel. But at the end of the day, know that you're going to have to answer to the one that made the sun. Okay? You're going to have to answer to the one that made the moon and the stars. You're going to have to answer to him. And you're going to have to give a reason to why you despise his word. You're going to have to give a reason to why you wanted to cherry pick his word and target those who actually believe on him and deceive them by his very own words, but yet you omit other scriptures that blatantly reject your false thinking, your false ideology. That is error. And not only is it just wrong, it's devilish. It's devilish. And you are leading people to hell. You are leading people down a road of destruction. And God is going to bring hell 100-fold down upon your head for deceiving so many. So understand this, family. That sun there, that is not our God. Okay? The clouds up above, they are not our God. The trees, they are not our God. The grass is not our God. The moon and the stars, they are not our God. For we serve one who is mightier in strength and has all power. We serve one who sits above the sun, moon, and stars in the firmament. So never forget that. And don't let these devils twist your mind up. And don't let these deceiving false prophets and teachers deceive you and lead you astray. Because they have had that done unto them. Be well, family.